All right. Uh, Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to the show. My name is Nick Larson. It is August 23rd, 2019. It's about 12:41, so I'm running a little late today, like always. But I am excited. We're gonna get back to this game here. Oh, I never change it. I never change it. So frustrating. Okay. I need like a checklist, like before I get started. That would make things a whole lot easier. Okay, let's take a look at what I got done last night. Bloop, 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 bloop. All right, a couple of things stand out. The first one is uh, the whole resizing thing to make it full screen was kind of a pisser. Caused me a fair amount of code, and like I didn't have a clear way to like solve this problem going forward. So instead, I made it a constant size, got rid of all the resizing crap, and then like I made it so that on a laptop it should show up all on one page, basically on one screen. And that's the size that I decided to go for. I also got rid of the grid idea for the board here, and I made it so that the colors sort of give you an indication as to where your things can go when you start placing your things. I also finished rewriting all of this in the new format that we were doing, where we basically have this one initialization function that builds the whole thing, which is great. And then there's a bunch of renderers now, right? So we have game object. This is the main thing that does like 99% of the work. And then when there is a renderer, the render function will attempt to render it. And there's lots of different kinds. You can render a rectangle. You can render some text right here. And then you also have things like the player render that renders that whole crap at the top. Really, this is just the player avatar. And then there's a second one. Here's the health bar renderer. I figured that would be something that we would use over and over because it's going to be like for the units as well as they're fighting. And then there's also the reserve. The reserve is this thing up here, right here. And then there's all of the emojis. I also changed the emojis. Originally, I had them as like just random ones that I picked out. And it turns out that the ones that I picked out had like weird spacing issues where aligning them perfectly was almost impossible. So instead, I went with all animal ones, which just happen to fit exactly in how they're supposed to fit. So I feel a lot better about that. I think I need to move this whole thing down, which is great because I can actually do that now. That is called the hero box. And if we put it at like, say, 10, then it ought to move the whole thing down. There we go. It's a little more spaced out there from the top. I might even do 15. Right. This is one of the benefits of rewriting the way that we do the rendering is now things are like conceptually like I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind is a DOM, right? You have this like tree of things that you want to render, and as long as you box them up correctly, you can make very large changes to large parts of the layout very easily. All right, and then today, what we did not do yesterday was make it so that you could drag and drop, and that's what I want to work on today. For this, we had to rewrite everything because we had no concept of the size of what these things were. So now these emoji things are these are minions, and the minions need a size. So we're going to specify the size. This dot size equals height 50, width 50. Right? Okay. And then the idea of setting this size is that now we can say we have a location and we have a size. We have a screen location and we have a size. And then we can basically say when a click happens, go find the thing that you just clicked on. And that's what we want to start moving. That's the goal here. And that's it. Like, that's really it. Yeah. The board should also have a size. I want to say the board, that's the minion renderer. Then we have the board is just a game object. The board, which has a size. There we go. So now we need to make it so that these things are like interactable, right? So if you click on a thing, then what happens? That's sort of the idea. Okay. And then let's go to here and let's say JavaScript canvas drag and drop. I think it's this. Yeah, there we go. Box. That looks like a library. All right, here's the one. This does not appear to be working though. Why? Great question. Maybe it's not the original. Oh, part 2. Ah, new one here. There we go. Okay. Bloop, 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 bloop. See, you just drag it around. This is the goal. We basically want to click on a thing and then we want to start dragging it around. Okay. So that's what we want to do. How do we do it? Let's scroll down. All right, we have a shape now that has an X and a Y, a height and a width. Perfect. We're already drawing them to the screen. Keeping track of the canvas state. All right. When set to true, the canvas will redraw everything. Okay. This dot shapes. So basically, we want all of the things inside here. And then dragging false, selection. Keep track of when we are dragging the current selected object. In the future, we could turn this into an array for multiple selection. Okay? Drag off X, drag off Y. See mouse down and mouse move events. Alright, we'll add mouse up, mouse down, and mouse move that will control when the object starts and stops dragging. We'll disable the select start event, which stops double clicking on canvas from accidentally selecting text on the page. Okay. On mouse down. All right. This seems important. Run game. All right. Initialize interaction. Okay. We're basically just going to start copying and pasting and see if this works. Mouse down function. MyState.getMouse. Where the hell is MyState? MyState equals this. Canvas state. I'm guessing get mouse is something. Okay. All right, so I'm going to guess that this just returns add event listener mouse down. Okay. Shapes. If shapes contains oh, I see. So it has a thing to check whether or not it's in it. Okay, so we need a thing, we need a list of all the things that are clickable, and then we basically just loop through the list, and the first one that we find, we assume that we're clicking on it. Okay, I mean, conceptually, that's easy enough. So let's just say canvas.add event listener mouse down function e. How about we just do a console.log of e so we can see what's on it. And let's take a look at that. Let me close this crap. I don't actually need all this junk open. Okay. So I have clicked on my canvas. I got a client X, a client Y. Layer X, layer Y. Oh, that's interesting. Offset X, offset Y, page X, page Y. Screen X, screen Y. Jesus, I have no idea which one to use. Okay, let's go and see if we can find which one is closest to 0 when we do this. I put it all the way up here. Okay, so client X and client Y are not what we want. What we want... All right, 2 and 5. I think offset X and offset Y. I think it's offset X and offset Y. I have no idea which one to use, though. Click location. How do I get the coordinates of a mouse click? What's the simplest way to add a click event handler to a canvas element that will return the X and Y coordinates of the click relative to the canvas element? current element. I think that's what we're going to use. No, it is using the built-in. This is really bad. Is this seriously how things are? If you like simplicity, but still want cross-browser functionality, get cursor position. Canvas. Event. Canvas. All right, let's just try this then. Modern browsers now handle this for you. Chrome, IE9, Firefox support offset XY like this. Let's just go with offset then. Okay. Click chords equal x e dot offset x e dot y is e dot offset y. Okay. Sure. Now what I want to do is find out if there is something there. Game states. Okay. How about game state? Mouse down. Click chords. Right, I want everything to be part of my game state. Maybe that's not how I want this. Actually, I am going to sort of need it there because otherwise I'm going to have to start adding a bunch of functions to it. Which maybe is the right thing to do anyway. I wish I knew more about this. Okay, so my goal right now is to make it so that when you click on an item, it gives us some information about the item that you clicked on and just dumps it to the console. Okay, I'm going to say get item, game state dot get item. Or how about get object? get interactable object. Yeah, right on. We're going to say class game state. No. Game state. Constructor. Get context. Say this dot is this moving us in the direction we want to go? Probably not. So we're just going to come down here and we're going to say clickable items. Or right now, the minions are the only things that are clickable, so we can just sort of take a little hack here and search through the minions. But I don't really want to do that because I don't really want to do it like that because it doesn't tell me whether or not they're clickable. Okay, so what is the default then? Unused. All right. We're just going to loop over all of these. Get interactable object. Okay. Game state dot get interactable object equals function chords. Okay. All right, for let I equal 0, I less than game state dot minions dot length I plus plus. This is going to say something like if nope, let minion equals game state dot minions of I if minion dot state not equal unused no reserve if minion.state equals reserve, then not equals. Let me just say continue. Otherwise, return minion. Okay. Sure. That's get interactable object. So we now have the interactable object. Click chords. Return null. All right. Var thing. Okay. Object. Game object equals click chords. Game object console.log game object. All right, let's see if this actually works or not. The idea here is that we want to make it so that when you click on one of the things that's in a reserve, then we are going to log some information about it. And this will get us halfway. Well, maybe not quite halfway, but it'll get us part of the way. Oh, I clicked on that. Cannot read property length of undefined. Minions, not minion. Okay. And I guess we could do something like const minions equals, and then we can just say this. Oh, wait, no. Okay, then we need to match if it's in here. If okay, let x equals coords.x, let y equal coords.y, if minion dot, all right, if x is less than minion dot screen location dot x, or x is greater than minion dot screen location. Let's just make this let sl equals minion dot screen location sl sl.x plus screen location, let size equal minion dot size, size dot width, then continue, because that means we are not on top of it. Okay, and then the same sort of thing for this, only we want it to be y. And height. Okay. Okay, now let's try that. Oh, I clicked and we got null. Clicked and we got null. Ooh, we got a minion back. What if I click down here in the corner? What if I click right here? If I click here. Nice. All right. And we are getting the correct minion back as well. Probably want to set it up here so that you can only click on okay. All right, so we have the thing, you can click on it. Now we want to make it so that you can drag it. How do we drag it? That's a great question. How do we drag it? Let's mouse down. Okay, let's do drag state. All right, that's it for mouse down. Let's do mouse up. And let's do something like let's do something like let's do game state dot drag state equals something, and this is going to be like object equals null. All right, is actually we just have that drag object. Okay. What we want to do is say get interactable object. This is mouse up. What we're going to do is say if GameState.drag object truthy, then we want to basically say, or maybe it's just GameState. Okay, yeah, GameState.drag object equals null. Right? No matter what, we want to stop dragging. And here we want to say GameState.drag object equals this. And then on mouse move, we want to say mouse move if GameState.drag object, all right, if equals false, then returned. All right, so we're not going to do anything there. If we want to move it, okay, so now I do need a drag state. Okay. Let's do drag state. Object is null. I don't actually care about the, oh yeah, offset. X0, Y0. I probably don't even need that, but we're gonna just leave it on there for now. Okay. We have drag state, not drag object, drag state dot object equals null. And then we want drag state dot drag object and dot drag state. And then I want game state dot drag state dot offset equals. All right, now what I need is x, which is e dot offset x minus, okay, let object equal, and then we want let SL equal object dot screen location. We want SL dot X. We want Y E dot click chords. Click chords dot X. Click chords dot Y minus SL dot Y. Okay, so that gives us an offset. Then what we sort of want to do is basically here we just want to say, oh, we need original. All right, we need an original spot. Okay. Original screen location. Y0. And then we also need to set this equal to game state dot original screen location, nope, dot drag state dot original screen location I just want to call this object and this object. And original screen location equals SL. I think we can actually just move this up. Okay. Okay. So that will let us reset it back if we let go of it somewhere that we're not supposed to. which we will figure out in just a few moments. Add event listener, mouse move. Okay, what happens on mouse move? We basically want to say that let object equal game state dot drag state dot object, and then we want to say object dot screen location dot x plus equals no, just equals mouse chords equals mouse chords dot x plus this is either plus or minus. I think it's minus. Okay, offset equals game state dot drag state dot offset minus offset dot x. Same thing for y. Okay. Okay, let's see if that works. Invalid shorthand property initializer. Oh. It's not an equals. It's a colon. Okay. Hey, all right. I'm moving this. It doesn't seem to be affecting the frame rate. I click. Oh, I need to make it actually. Let's do console.log of GameState.dragState. I see object is minion, offset is something, and original screen location is something. So I have the offset. Why isn't it moving? That's interesting. Why isn't it moving? Mouse move? It's possible that I'm not capturing the correct event. Oh, we just, instead of this, we just say if it equals null. Oh, it's not moving it. Oh. Oh. It's because every time it's getting rewritten. Every time we redraw. Wow. So maybe what I need to do is actually move. Okay, I need to change the location of it, not the screen location. I need to change the location of it. Wow. I need to change the location of it so that the screen location gets set correctly, because the screen location gets updated automatically. Okay, so I need to change the location. Object.location. All right. Okay, we have the screen location. We don't actually care about the screen location. We care about the location. And what we want is an offset of the location and the mouse chords. And then we want to say maybe I want to actually pick it up and put it in the land of the mouse. Actually, that's kind of an easy way to do it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to create an element that lives inside of the scene, which is the mouse location. And then we can shove whatever we want to as the anchor for that, and it'll just automatically move it when we move the mouse around. So when you click on something, it moves it into this container, and then it'll just draw itself automatically in there. Okay, I kind of like that. So I'm going to actually just delete all of this garbage for now because I'm going to rewrite everything here. So I need game state dot mouse object equals new game object. And then I basically want scene. I want it to be the very last thing because I always want it to be on top. Always want this on top. We're going to say scene. We're going to say scene dot components dot add dot push of game state dot mouse object. All right, now on mouse move, it is literally just going to move the mouse object, and that is the only thing it will ever do. Mouse object. Game state dot mouse object dot location equals this. Right? Now we can even have a cursor in here. Ooh, actually, maybe that's a good idea. So that I want to say that there is a cursor plus, but I want to see it actually show up inside of here. So I want it to be something like, you know, a hand. Okay, let's go look up an emoji for a hand. Is that what I want to do? All right, so we're now moving around a mouse thing. What I really want to do is just have it draw something for now so that I can see whether or not it's actually doing what I expect it to be doing. So we're going to do okay. Mouse object equals game state. Actually, we're just going to do it like this. Game state dot mouse object. And then we're going to say mouse object dot render equals new rect renderer. How big do we want the size to be here? I think we have it at 1, 1. I think I'm gonna make it like 5, 5, something like that. Red. Fill. True. And let's do mouse object dot size equals width 5, height 5. All right, I think what's going to happen here is as we move the mouse around, there's going to be this thing that sort of follows it. Right? Like that. Ooh, it kind of follows behind, you know? It's not super responsive. I guess it's not really supposed to be. But you can see that like the top left corner there is exactly where it is. So now whenever I'm dragging something, I can just drag it around by moving the mouse. I'm not actually having to write very much code here at all in order to achieve this effect. So that's a huge benefit. Now all I need to do is make it actually take that thing out and put it into the mouse. So I want to record the original object that it was in. And I need to grab the offset and offset it in here based on that amount. That's it. So let's do that. That's kind of cool. That kind of worked out. Okay, we can make this happen. And it's not affecting the frame rate at all. Okay, so if we want to do this, we're going to say we don't actually care about this anymore. I think we have like proven our point here. You know, I might want to like to do consider custom cursors. Actually, let's. Okay. To do consider custom cursor. Okay. Now what I want to do is make it so that we can actually do this interaction. So we have gotten an object. I don't even think we're going to need this drag state anymore. We are going to, actually, I take that back. But we're not going to have it in here. We're going to have it in the interaction. So we're going to have this thing called, okay, const drag equals object null original container null original location null. And then in this case, we're going to say drag.object equals, so we have now set the object. Then we're going to say, ooh, I don't have the container. And I need to remove it from the old container and place it in the new container. Is that what I need to do? Or can I make it just be in both? These things don't really have concepts of their parents, which is sort of a pisser. You know what? Let's just do it like... Let's just see if it creates a copy of it and starts moving it around, and then we can worry about the parent thing in a minute. If we can move it around, then we're like 90%. Well, maybe not 90. Let's say 50% of the way there. Okay, so now we want drag dot original container. We're not going to worry about that. Drag dot original location equals object dot location and then we're going to say, okay, so we have the object, we have the original location. Now what we're going to do is place it into GameState.mouseObject. Okay, GameState.mouseObject dot push object. That will put it in there. I think like that's all we need to get started here. So drag. This is for later on. All we want to do is we want to place it into here. And then there is no more this. Oh yeah, no, this is GameState.mouseObject.location. Okay, that's correct. And then the mouse up function should basically take, well, for now, to stop dragging it, we're just going to set the object equal to null, but that's not going to fix it because it's still going to be in the thing. So what we really need to do is figure out the container. Okay, so we're not even going to worry about this for now. All right, so we'll worry about this in a bit. Right now, I just want to see, I actually don't even care about this. I just want to see if this makes a copy of it, like from a drawing standpoint, and then starts moving the copy around. It's not going to move the copy around. Yes, it is going to move the copy around. Oh, what we need to do is get the location. Okay, this is one more thing that we need to do. We need to get the location. Oh, and this is going to be bad. It's going to move it in the original. Let's just say drag dot object dot location equals drag dot object, no, drag dot original location. So that should put it back when we let go of the mouse, and then we should also drag game state dot mouse object dot components dot remove. Oh man. Okay. JavaScript array remove. There are different ways to remove. I don't want different ways. I really just want one. That's it. I just want one really simple one. Move items, but no, I don't want it. I want it making a remove. I don't want to create a new one. Okay, splice. Hey, all right, I've done this before. Index of February 17th, 2019. I feel pretty good about this then. Filter. Removing multiple items. Oh. Okay. Remove. Okay. I'm just going to use this one. Const array remove equals function. Array value. Okay. Array remove of this and drag dot object. That will remove it from the mouse object. Okay. So I have the original location. I need to change the location to be relative to the click item offset. Let object dot location equals, and this is where I need x is screen location. This is where I need the screen location. Okay. So I need SL, let SL equal object dot screen location. I need this to be let L equals this. No, I don't even need that. I need the mouse chords. Oh, goodness. Okay, I need SL.x minus mouse chords.x. And then Y is SL.y minus mouse chords.y. Alright, so this should basically make, these should almost always be negative. I would imagine that this is always going to be negative or very close to it, because it's taking the top left corner of the box and it's figuring out the location of the offset from the pointer to the top left location, and then it's going to set that as the location. And then down here, we're going to set the location back to the original location and remove it from the mouse object. So it should disappear from the mouse object, and then it should reshift itself back to where it is supposed to be. I do think that it's going to stay in the original box, which is a little weird. Let's just see what happens. Bloop. Push is not a function. Mouse object. Dot components. Oh, did you see that? Oh, that's crazy. It is moving and it stays where it's supposed to, and then when I let go, it bounces back. Oh, that's crazy. Crazy. That's crazy. Why is that happening like that? I mean, I'm getting the right thing, but I am not understanding this. So I didn't actually remove it from the original container. Oh. Maybe it's getting the same location? Nope. Okay. So it exists as a component of this thing, of this like rectangle right here. And then it also exists as a component of my mouse. And it should be drawing both of those. it's very possible that like what's happening is it's far enough away. I wonder what happens if I go like that. Oh, that's not good, is it? Oh, that's bad. Okay, so I need a mouse out thing that like cancels. Crap all. Okay. So it's setting the location. I mean, that's cool. Cannot read location of null. Oh, right. If not all right, if drag.object equals null, return drag.object equals null. All right, so we are removing it. I'm imagining that's what is happening is it is setting the location equal to the mouse location. I feel like it should be drawing it twice. I just really feel like it should be drawing it twice. And it's crazy to me that it's not, because it exists as a component of two separate things. I did not remove it from the original one because I have no way to get a hold of its parent. I don't know. It's like it kind of works, but I just feel like it shouldn't. Like I'm wondering if I'm going to break it somehow. It's cool. It's pretty responsive. And then we also need to implement the dropping into a container. Why is that still happening? This is in mouse down. Oh, I have no filter here. If object equals null, return. Okay. Okay. I am super curious. It should only be setting the location one time. Oh, so maybe the offset is enough to like pop it off the screen? Where would that happen? I'm not entirely sure here. Let's print out. Let's print out the original location and the new location. Console.log. Drag.original location. Console.log of object.location. it was 0, 0. And I reset it to negative 24, negative 29. I'm just so out of my mind. Does anybody watching have any ideas as to why this might be not drawing it twice? I am just completely at a loss here. In the render loop, we say, if this item has a renderer, then render it. Then we say, for each component, try to render it. And this thing for sure lives in two different component lists. One is the mouse component list, and the other is the component list for whichever one of the cells it's in. Come on. Why? It's like, maybe it's... I just can't think of why. I want to say, let's take a look at... Like, the only thing I'm doing is setting the location back. Like, that's it. I'm just setting the location back. And we can see that it didn't even change that much. What on earth? I want to track how many times... I want to track how many times it's being drawn. Let's do that. We're in the main game loop. We're in the render function. We're in the render function. We're just going to have this thing up here called game state. I can't do it. I need to know what calls this, which is the main loop. Oh, update screen locations. That's what's happening. Okay, so we are drawing it twice. We just happen to be drawing it twice at the exact same location. Okay, all right, this is what's happening. So this item itself only has one screen location, because we don't calculate the screen locations during render of each individual object. We calculate them all at once up front. Does this make sense, or should we do it the other way? Why? There was a reason we did it like this. And I wanted to say it had something to do with... What do you mean there's no definitions for update screen locations? There like clearly is. Why is it that we updated the screen locations? Because For each of the components, we updated the screen location. Maybe render. Let's just do it in line. Relative screen location. And then what we do is we say update screen location of relative screen location. Then for this we say this dot screen location. All right, so we have now updated it. We render. Then we say render the next one with the relative screen location. Okay, now our render function becomes like this. I think that will draw it twice. Update screen. Okay, I only see two uses. They're right here, which means I don't even need this function. I can just do something like, well, I guess let's just see if it works. I have refreshed it. Aha! There we go. See, that one stays still now. And then when I, okay, all right, we did this. We did it. See, we did it. If I click it down here, it moves up. If I click it up here, it moves left. If I click it over here, if I click it up here, it barely moves at all. Okay. All right. So basically now what we want to do is we want to remove it from the cell that it's in and just leave it as part of the mouse. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Update screen location. Okay. Now what I want to do is say something along the lines of like, I need to remove it. Okay, that's what we need to do. We need to remove it. Right? So we need a parent. All right. And what we're going to do is have add component. Game object. Remove component. Game object. And this is going to be array remove of this dot components and game object. And this is going to be this dot components dot push of game object. And although these are really dumb sounding, the reason for it here is that I can now have the ability to say game object dot parent. We're going to say this dot parent equals null. Basically, this is a way of enforcing that a component is only the child of one thing. So if we add it to one thing, it will remove it from another. Like, that's the plan here. So we want to say, first off, array remove, game. Oh, you know what we should do? We should just do game object dot parent dot remove component. Okay. If game object dot parent then dot remove component of game object. Now I can say parent equals this. And then to remove, we want to do this, and then we want to say the game object dot parent equals null. Okay. So now if we try to add a game object to one game object, you know, if we try to add a component to one game object, it will remove it from whatever it was already part of and move it to this one. So now we need to make everything that is components, which there's a lot of, everything that adds components we need this dot add component. There we go. Add component. And then we don't want this. Oh, well, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this one. Actually, I'm going to leave this like this because we're going to come back to it. Now it's all this crap down here that needs to be handled. Add component. Add component. Component. Add component. Add component. I like this better anyway. It makes the components sort of some internal state as opposed to it just being like totally exposed. All right, this right here is a hack. Again, it's just for testing. It's just to put stuff in there for the time being so that we can actually see it without having to like go through the game, which is just, it just sort of is what it is. Okay, now the goal here is that this, basically all we need to do is add it back to its parent. So in this case, it should just be drag dot original container dot add component of drag dot object. Okay, that will handle the removal. Then we just set the location And we set it to null so that it doesn't crap out and do stuff. Do I even care about this anymore? No, I don't. Yeah. Because... yeah, no, I don't really care about this anymore. Although if there's a mouse up, I want to know that we need to not do anything. Yeah, okay, I do. All right, so we do need to like track that a little bit. So we have the location. Now what I want to say is GameState.MouseObject.addComponent. That will remove it from the other one, so we've already taken care of that. Control F or Control Shift F or maybe F1 and VS will search and replace entire strings for others you specify. Oh yeah, so like because I was looking for the same thing over and over, could have saved myself a little bit of time. That makes sense. Control Shift F. Where is replace? Control Shift H? Yeah, there it is. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So we have if the object is null, then we don't want it. Then we need to track the original location, and we need drag dot original container equals object dot parent, and then we just say add component, and then we do all of this other crap. We don't need to write out to the console. We offset the location so that it looks like it's the same here. And now we should have something that drags, removes it. When you let go, it returns it. Oh, damn. Relative location is not defined. Oh, yeah, okay, well, sure. Let's go handle that. Relative screen location. There we go. Hey. Okay, I click. It's only one of them. I let go. It goes back. I click. All right, now we need to make it so that when you let go, if you're inside of here, it moves it in here. Or the other thing we could do is make it so that if you drop it on this one, then it swaps them. And I think the thing I want to do first is if I move it and then let go, now I can't get rid of it. So I think we're going to make it if you drag off the edge, it just cancels the current drag. So let's do that first, because that one's kind of busted. Like there's just no way to get rid of it at this point. I'm like constantly in this state. Why am I constantly in this state? I have a mouse up, don't I? It takes some time to get used to some of the tooling, but it is as worth will quest. Still end result is the same. Right. Okay. I am letting go. It is not letting go. If the drag object is null, then return. This is on mouse up, right? I'm on mouse up. Oh, I know what's happening. I am clicking, and it is realizing that the thing that I am already dragging is... I don't know what it's doing. It's just busted. Clicking doesn't do anything. This feels like it can be fixed. When I mouse down, yes, I'm over this, so it finds this object. But then when I let go, shouldn't it... Let's just do a little console.log of drag.object. Oh, it's in the same one, so it's setting the parent back. Aha. Okay. We can do this. This is... Alright, so conceptually here, what's happening is... I will refresh. All right, I click on this, I click and drag, I move off the screen, I let go of the mouse button. When I come back on, I now have the mouse button down. If I go off and then click and then drag on and let go, it'll move it back. However, if I click, drag, move off, let go, move back, and then click, it is picking up that I'm clicking on it, and then it's setting the previous parent back to itself, back to the mouse object, because it's already a child of the mouse object. So I need to recognize that when something is a parent of the mouse object to just bail at that point. So if the object is null, or object.parent equals the game state.mouse object, then it won't attempt to reset the parent. That's my idea. All right, we haven't broken anything. I let go, I come back, I click, and it goes back. All right. Oops. Okay. All right, that's sort of that's good enough as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Now we need to make it so that you can drop into a specific container. I would say first, let's make it so you can swap these. Right, so you can drag and drop these. And another thing I need to do is make it so that you cannot control your opponents. Like you can't click on these to drag them. So I need like an ownership idea. Do I want to do the ownership first? Or do I want to do... Or do I want to do like swapping first? I don't really have an answer here. I think let's do swapping. Okay, I think let's do swapping. So when I mouse up, I need to see if we're on top of a container. And then if we are on top of a container, I think I can knock out both of these at one time. I can just have the... Oh, well, no, I can't actually do that. Okay. Let's do the owner thing. Let's do the owner thing. So a minion needs an owner. Okay. I might do this with all of them because there might be other things I want to do this to, or is it just going to be minions? You know, we're just going to put it on minions for now. If we have to move it, we'll move it. This dot owner equals null. Okay. And then I need to say down here is like This feels really hacky at the moment, but it's basically like minion.owner equals p1. Minion.owner equals p2. And then it's like, conceptually, I would say something like, what would I do here? I would say when you click on a thing, we need to see if you are the owner. And really, I don't even like this. Well, maybe I like this for the canvas. But like the events of like click, mouse move, those sorts of things. Maybe I don't even do it. Maybe I just put it as click and mouse move. You click on a thing, maybe you don't have to hold it. Because ideally what I would like to do is make it so that when you click on a thing, that thing has its own event handlers. I don't want to have one giant, huge, mega event handler for like, the mouse down or the click event on the canvas that then like has to do bajillions of things. Like I would love to say, get me the object, if there is one here, and then immediately delegate this to that object. Like delegate the fact that there was a mouse down to that object. Actually, I kind of like that better. Just go get me the object, and then delegate the object to it. And then what I can say is that kind of object can now that kind of object can now have something that's like, okay, go make me drag, set me equal to the drag thing. That's like just easier to think about. What can I do here? Okay, I like that better. I think I'm going to move everything towards that. But for now, the ownership thing is really like, can you... Like, if you own it, then make it draggable. Actually, let's just try that. Yeah, let's just try that. So I would say that what do you want to do? All right. The ownership thing is... All right, when you mouse down, you need to be the owner. And that's the thing, is like, I'm player one. And I want to, like... Okay, let's do something like... const start drag game object. And then it's basically like this. Okay, so now I'm saying start drag of object. But the other condition I want to check here is, so what's the game about? Oh, that's a great question. All right, so there is this competition called JS13K. And it's a fun competition that happens once a year. It lasts a month. Games.com. And conceptually, what it is that you have a month to build a game from scratch based on a theme. This year, the theme is back, like B-A-C-K. You're allowed to interpret the theme however you would like to. The rule is you have to take all of the materials for your entire game. You have to zip them up into a single zip folder, or into a single zip file, and the entire zip file has to be 13 kilobytes or less. And this has to be a fully fledged working game in JavaScript, or rather not in JavaScript. It has to work in a browser. And that's the whole competition. You have 13 kilobytes to make the best game you can based on a theme. You have 1 month to do it. And so this game that I have decided to do is I was like, okay, what is back? And to me, the first thing that popped in my head at the time was the concept of back propagation, which is the way that you train a neural network. So I went through all these ideas about like, okay, how do we train a neural network and make it, fun as part of a game? And I couldn't think of anything where you were like actually training a neural network, so I just bailed on that idea. And instead I was like, okay, so instead of like an actual neural network, let's just have a fake brain, which is what these are going to end up being. And you have a part of your brain called the back prop that trains either your left brain or your right brain. So then you have all these different units, and this basically becomes like an auto battler. If you're familiar with like team fight tactics, it's going to be sort of like that. So there's this like list of all of the available minions, and there's only going to be one of each, but each of them has a class and a type and a rarity. And depending on these three things, it determines what their skills are. Or like, this is like your melee damage, your melee defense, attack, your magic damage, magic defense, your life, your mana, and your attack speed, right? And based on these three things sort of determines what these are going to end up being. So the first 12, how many is 12 right here? The first 12 are all based on your left brain, right? These are things like logic and planning and stuff like that. And so all of your attributes are going to be around those sorts of things. Whereas the right side of your brain is more creative, and so you figure out, the whatever the powers are going to be that you get for combining units that have either the same class, right? So two abstractions, or ones that have the same specialization. So like two viruses would give you a bonus, two abstractions would give you a bonus, that sort of a thing. And the way that it's set up is so that, because of the rarity of these things, and you're going to want some rares and some epics, that, it should force you to try and move around in the space a little bit. And then basically your brain has, an amount of cognitive power. This is what your health bar is right here, right? Your green is your cognitive power. I'll probably end up making it blue or something like that. And then like as you lose, you lose a little bit of cognitive power, and when your cognitive power gets to 0, you lose. So you beat your opponent by reducing theirs all the way to 0, or they beat you by reducing yours all the way to 0. And that's it. That's the whole game. Basically, at the beginning of the game, you will randomly get assigned one character. You can put it anywhere you want on your side of the board, and your opponent puts theirs anywhere they want on their side of the board. You can't see where the other person is putting their units, and you just sort of put yours wherever you think they should go, and then the battle starts. And when the battle starts, your hands are in the air. You can't do anything. You do not control anything. They just fight automatically, and whichever side wins, does a little bit of damage to the other person. At the end of a round, whoever is losing gets to choose the next one first. So 2 random minions will pop up. You get to choose one, and then you are forcing your opponent to take the other one or to not take any at all. There's no reason, so you can have 4 on the board at any time. You can have 3 in your reserve at any time. So these are your reserves, and then you can have 4 on the board. So after the game, you get the option of 2 new units, right? If you're the first person to pick, you pick one. If you are totally full, you have to swap yours out, and the one that you swap out goes away. And then your opponent gets the option to choose the other one. And then, the rarity determines like the likelihood they are to show up. So the commons will show up far more often than the rares will show up, and the epics will show up like way even less than that. How does board position influence combat? So at the moment, it doesn't that much. So each of these characters has a skill. 2 skills really. All of the casters there's casters in melee. Give me just a second here. Let me pull up the names we came up with. Back. So we spent like a whole week on stream here coming up with the concept of the game and like getting all of these numbers right and coming up with all the names and all of this jazz. And we also came up with this one, which is where all the data was lived, and they each have their abilities, right? So let me make this as big as possible. All right, so over here, this one is the fuzzy character puts an infection that does damage over time equal to the magic damage, so 1180 over time, right? This one is negate. It takes your opponent and it swaps their target's attack and defense, which for some of these can make quite a difference. Like this common right here would go from attacking for 1980 to attacking for 900, but it would defend a lot better, right? So it's just things like this that sort of all have to be implemented. And right now what I'm trying to do is get the mechanics of the game worked out, where you put them onto the board and then the battle happens automatically. And then, for the time being, they're just going to use these basic attacks. It won't be really that interesting. And then once we get done with all of that and we get the whole game rolled out, then we're going to start getting to the point where you want to have these special skills implemented. And then once the skills are implemented, they do just sorts of different things, make the game much more interesting. And that's it. That's all I'm really going for. This game is time limited. Like the scope of this project is time limited, based on the 1 month that they give you to write the game for the competition. So I'm really trying to scale back the feature set as much as possible. This isn't like I want to release this. I just want to have something that I actually submit as part of this competition. This is a lot. How much time do you have? Can you still make it? I have 3 more weeks after this. I don't know the answer if I'll make it or not. That's my short answer. What I am really hoping to do by the end of this weekend is get to the point where we don't play the game, they don't fight each other, but it pops up and it lets you choose your minion, and then you swap out your minions and that sort of a thing. the battling part, I'll just flip a coin, right? And that'll be that. Uh, I won't actually worry about the actual mechanics of them running around. I want the game to a playable state, which is, based on some amount of how much attack they have. You add all the attack, you add all the defense, you flip a coin, whichever one ends up being, higher of a percentage or so, I don't know, whatever the thing ends up being, and that's how much damage you do to the other person. And then once the whole like workflow of the game is there, then I can actually implement the auto battling. And then at that point, if we can start adding in the special abilities, like that'll be cool. But like right now, even the like the attack for some of the epic ones gets pretty intense. Like this one can attack for 3,000, whereas these commons are attacking for like half that, right? So that's sort of where I am trying to get it to, is that they can just like, there is some concept of them fighting and having a thing, and then that's that. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm trying to get to a working state as quickly as possible, and that's it. And then I'll add in all of that crap that I planned out. See if we can get to that. Then there's other things where it's like there are other components to a game that I have not even like considered yet, which is like there's zero sound in this game, and that's kind of crappy, and stuff like that. And like do the pieces move, or are you just dragging and dropping? Like I don't really know. We'll see. I feel like mostly this is a learning experience. It would be really great if I actually got to the point of turning something in. That's sort of where I'm at. I just don't know enough about like how to organize games. No, that's cool. I really appreciate talking. I just don't know enough about like how games are made. Like this is the second game I've ever worked on. The first one was me doing a test example of this whole thing, of this competition using last year's on stream about 4 months ago. And yeah, it was bad. Like I used the DOM. I didn't even use a canvas. I used the DOM and was literally like moving things around in the DOM. It was awful. I don't recommend going back to watch it. I mean, it was quite the learning experience, but this time around I was like, I'm just going to make an animation like setup. No matter what, because last time it was just a fucking nightmare. Excuse my language. Okay, ownership. I want to know, before you can start dragging, you have to be the owner. We're just going to assume all the time that GameState.player1 is the owner, or is the person doing the interaction. Okay. So this is all right, if object not equals null, all right, if object and object.parent not equals that, or no, let's do the owner thing. All right, and object dot owner equals game state dot player one and object dot parent then I want to go ahead and do this. Okay, I think that will actually take care of the ownership part, but again, I just feel like this is such a huge hack. Like, this just doesn't feel right. Alright, so, oh shit, I already got a bomb. Mouse coords is not defined. Start drag. The hell do you mean mouse coords is not defined? Where is that? Start drag. Oh, right. Right. Mouse chords. Sure. Whatever. Okay. I can drag. I can let go. I cannot drag. Oh, shit. That was bananas. Alright, I gotta clear out the state. Damn, that was unbelievable. It's kind of cool that it worked, though. I can put them all in the same spot. Now I can put them in there. Just kidding, that one's on top. Okay, let's put one in here. Boom, let's put one in here. Boom, let's put one in here. Boom, now let's put this one on top. And that one on top. And that one on top. Okay. I need to clear out the whole thing. If drag... Alright, when I clicked on it, and then I let go, if drag.object equals null, I'm kind of confused. Okay, how did we do this? We clicked on this. Oh, add component of null. Mouse up. Oh, I'm setting drag object right here. Okay. Alright, we're good. Okay. Alright, that's cool. Let's see here. So we have the ownership down, but the problem is I'm like literally just telling it. What I need to do is have some way to say like player1 dot, you know, acquire minion instead of this whole like push. Anywhere I'm using push needs to be like internal to the class itself. So how many places is that? I got 1, 2, 3. Although this one I'm less concerned about because the stats are going to go away. Okay, so 1, 2. 3. Stats box. Dot updates. What in the fuck is updates? Seriously? I don't even know what updates is. Oh, updates is... Okay, so I need... This is another one where it's like... Okay. Updates. I don't want updates. I want update handlers. Update tasks. Okay. Add update task. Task. This dot update task. Dot push. Task. Okay, now let's go back down to there. And this is going to be dot add update task. Okay. Now I've got my pushes. This is in add component. This is in an add function. This one I said I don't care about. These two I do care about. So minions, heroes have minions. I need an add minion function. Players have minions. So this needs to be something like maybe player shouldn't extend a game object or whatever. Okay, I don't know. Add minion. Okay. This dot minions dot push minion dot owner equals this. And then also, well, I don't need it yet, but there will be a remove minion at some point. So now we can come down here and we can say player1 dot add minion. And then it's just this. And then we don't need this. Now this reserve thing, like, I feel like this should be moved into here as well. Probably. I think it should probably go into. I think it should. I do want to just push it in there because that's what it's going to be when we get to the point of it. I think that's what we want to do anyway. And then this reserve would actually be part of that as well. Okay, so the player needs a reserve. And the reserve needs an add component as well. Okay. So I think we want to put this. All right, we need. Where's the reserve? P1.reserve. Player reserve. I think we have slots. Okay. This dot slots equals array. This dot slots dot push slot, and then I want to say something like, what is player reserve slot? Something like set minion Okay, and then you basically say something like this dot add component minion. Minion dot state. Actually, I don't even care about the state, do I? I don't really care about this state. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to have player reserve. I'm going to say this dot minion equals minion equals null. Okay. Is occupied. Return this dot components dot length greater than 0. Okay. Then I want to say something like add minion. For let I equal 0, I less than this dot slots dot length I plus plus. If this dot slots of I dot is occupied, continue. Otherwise, oh wait, no, if not, is occupied. If not, then let's just go let slot equal this dot slots of I. If not slot dot occupied, then slot dot set minion, add minion, set minion. Minion return break. Return true. Okay. So now we have a minion, a way to add minions to a reserve, and I need to put the reserve on the player. So we have created the reserve. Now we're going to say p1 dot reserve equals p1 reserve. p2 dot reserve equals p2 reserve. Now my player You know what? We're not even gonna do it like that. We're gonna do this dot reserve equals new player reserve. This. And then what we want to do is say something like, hey, Michael Jolly, what's up, man? Doing some admin work, but coming to lurk and enjoy the JS13K goodness. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm just grinding away. That's what I'm doing. I am just grinding away. So a player has a reserve. Already. Let's just make that really simple change. Okay. The player has a reserve. We don't actually care about the minion state anymore. Okay, P2 reserve, P1 reserve equals player 1 dot reserve. P2 reserve equals P2 dot reserve. Okay, that takes care of the locations and all the crap. And then what else do I need to do? All right, the whole point was to make it so that when I add a minion, it takes care of this whole adding it to the reserve thing. All right, minions.push. All right, how about we do this? Var reserve let added equals this dot reserve dot player reserve dot add minion. Minion. If added, return added. Okay. Minions don't have a state anymore. Minions don't have a state. Because I wasn't really using it. Oh God. We're not going to worry about this for now. Get interactable object. Okay. Probably want to leave that sort of like that. That's that. We're going to remove it from there so we don't think about it. Then we're going to come down here where we add these things, and we're going to get rid of this jazz. Okay. I have no idea. I've made a lot of changes. I have absolutely no idea if it's going to work. Oh man, that was crazy. Cannot touch these. Can still touch these. Okay, wow. All right, that really simplified the way that you get a minion. All right, so we had like 5 different steps that we were doing, and now we only have one. So this is a much better way because you can tell it to add it, and then it enforces the ownership property, which is really what we were going for here. Okay, feel good about that. All right, and it's 3 o'clock. I've been streaming for quite a while today. Well, I guess not super long. I got started a little late, but it is running up pretty late. I am gonna get out of here today. Uh, there is a strong chance I'm going to start streaming this on the weekends, just because. Hey, thanks so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Um, I yeah, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. This is all right. This is good. We did not get to the point of actually like dropping, but we need to know containers. We got the ownership done, so you can't drag the other people's. We got the moving objects around in the display thing. I really like the way that we ended up doing the drag, where you just add it to the mouse, and the mouse is the only thing that moves. Like that makes it really simple instead of having to like move the object every time we encounter a mouse move. It just sort of manages it automatically. We need to get to the dropping point, and then I also want to set up the point where we randomly select minions, and you got to choose them, and it adds it to your board. That's what I want to go for. Yeah, I think that's what I want to go for. Okay. Um, all right. Thank you everybody for joining. I had a good time, and I will see y'all soon. Thank you so much. I'll see everybody. Well, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for of next week for sure. All right. Y'all have a good one.